For example, suppose you decide you want to buy a car that costs $3,600 from a dealership using a credit card. Sometimes people do that because they get really good rewards on their credit card. They're like, oh, I'll just put it on my credit card. And then the credit card, for example, has an APR of 19.99%. And that's going to be our rate, 0.1999, or you can use it with the percent symbol. And then this is going to be the amount. And the first question, how long will it take you to pay off the car if you make regular monthly payments of $80? So that's going to be the PMT. And the monthly payment, we really expect that with a credit card. That means our N is going to be 12. And that is all of the information that we need to figure out the answer for number 1. So let's take a look. Number 1, we'll write out that formula, okay, one time with nothing in it, and then I can just string it along with an equal sign because this will be the formula filled in, and I'll have to do a negative log eventually. Inside my parentheses I have 1 minus, my R is 0.1999. From above, my N is 12, my A is 3,600, and my payment is 80. So I'm going to multiply all those together, take 1 minus that quantity, and then take the negative log of it. In the denominator, and I'm definitely going to need my store and recall buttons, so we'll get to see how to use those another time. So 1 plus R over N is 0.1999 over 12. For my denominator, it looks like the denominator is easier, so I'm going to calculate it first. And first thing I do is the 0.1999 divided by 12. And I can store that if I'd like to in A, and that's going to be for this fraction here and for this fraction here, and my A button came to 0.0166, etc. Just so I have a note of what I came up with on there. And then in the denominator again, I calculated this. Now I just need to add 1. So plus 1 equals, and now I need to take the log of it, so I'm just going to push log and then answer and then enter, and that gives me my denominator. And so I still have a lot of stuff in the numerator, but for my denominator I have 0.00717 dot dot dot, and I'm going to just store that in B. So store, slide over to B, push enter, there's my new value. So now I have the denominator, I need to work on the numerator. In the numerator, I see that I have the 0.199 divided by 12, which I already know is stored in A. I need to multiply by the 3,600 over 80, so I'll take care of that right now. So I can do the 3,600 divided by 80, and I get 45. So I'll multiply that 45 by A, and I get 0.7496. That I have to do 1 minus this number that's sitting on my calculator. So I can't just do minus 1 because it's absolutely not the same thing. So I have to do 1 minus, recall the answer that I just found, and I get the 0.25. And then for that, I'm just going to write this here. And then I will take the log of that answer. And then I will switch the sign by using this button just straight up, not with the shift. So I'll do negative and then answer. And it turns it positive for me. So now I have 0.6014 divided by 0.00717. And the 0.6014 is sitting on my calculator, and then I will do divide and recall B, enter one more time, and I get 83.82 months. 83.82 months, and I'm wondering how many years that is, so I'll just do divide by 12 to get the number of years. It's almost 7 years. So I can write that here. Let's see what I'm doing finally. So, or it's 6.98 years. That's how long it's going to take me to pay off this account if I make payments of $80 a month. Number 2, how much money will you pay in the long run for the car if you make regular monthly payments of $80? So I know that I'm making my payment for 12 months of every year for 6.98 years, or I can think my payment times the number of months, the 83.82, and that's the one I'm going to use because it's a lot more convenient, less multiplying. So I'll do, I did it again. So it'll be payment times the number of months, which is going to be, my payment is $80 times 83.82 months. 80 times 83.82 months. That means I will have paid over the length of this loan $6,705.60 for a $3,600 car. I'm hoping that looks horrible to you. Number 3. Let's look at the required payments because it's asking how long, so how many payments is it going to take, how many months, how long will it take you to pay off the car if you make regular monthly payments of $160. So all we're doing is changing the payment to 160. So I'll use the same formula and everything will look the same except for that 80 is going to become a 160. And in fact, this whole denominator I already stored in B, so I can just use it. It's the exact same numbers because the payment's not involved there at all. In the numerator, this chunk here, I stored in A, so I can use it. First thing I'll do though is take this 3,600 divided by the 160. And I get 22.5, and that I will multiply by what's in A, which was my 19.99 divided by 12, and I get 0.37, and then remember I have to do 1 minus this value. So far I have calculated this times this, so I have this amount here, and now I have to do 1 minus this amount that's sitting on my calculator right here. So I'll do 1 minus answer. Remember, you have to do it in that order. You can't do -1. It's not the same thing. And I get 0.6251. Remember, here's where I have to do the negative log of 0.6251. And to do that again, I can start off this way. This is a little bit different. Do the minus log of the answer, and I can go straight to my answer, which is 0.2039, and so on. Divide by B. What's in B? Slide over to B, push equals, enter, and I get 28.43 months. And if I wanted to know, I could divide by 12 and find out that that is 2.37 years. Significant difference. I think 7 years versus 2 1/3 years, and look at the number of months, way decreased. So if I can afford to pay 160 instead of 80, that is in my best interests. Now let's see number 4, how much money will you pay in the long run? Remember that how much money you will pay. We're asking how much will you make payments over the time that you have the loan, and we were doing the payment times the number of months to figure that out. So we'll do that again. And here we were making much larger payments, 160, but we have way fewer months, so 28.43 months. And so we have 160 times 28.43. There we go. And that means we will pay 4548.80. Still way more than the car was sold for, but if you're going to finance, you will pay more than the car is worth unless you happen to get 0% financing. That's a good deal. So here we're saving about $2,000, a little over $2,200 from doubling our payment. We paid off a lot sooner, so then we have money to spend on other things, and we pay way less money in the end.